Our devotion today is from Isaiah chapter 57. Before we look at it, I want to remind you today to be in prayer for Shirley Riley. So in Isaiah chapter 57, I feel like God is describing the spiritual state, the spiritual condition of the nation of Judah here. And it's not good. They're not in good shape. But it also gives me this sense of a God who is, again, speaking to the people that he loves, who have turned their backs on him, who hate him, who have cheated on him with these idols. There's this sense of almost like a spouse who's cheating on you, but they don't care. They're committing fornication with all these other lovers, and they've abandoned you, but it doesn't mean anything to them. You get the sense of God's broken heart here over the nation of Judah. He starts out and he says, "The righteous man perishes, and no one lays it to heart." There's this trend of righteous people passing away, but they're not being replaced by other righteous people. The trend of spirituality, of wickedness, I guess, is on the rise in Judah. People who know the Lord, people who love the Lord, they're dying. And you know what? They're escaping the judgment, he says. They're escaping calamity. They're not going to be around for what God is going to do. They're going to peace because they know God. They're righteous in God's eyes. And so as they begin to, the righteousness begins to fade away from it, just things are just continually getting worse and worse. The state's getting worse and worse. He describes these people, these wicked people, as mocking God, people who have chased after these idols and given themselves to these idols. And it gets into that imagery of kind of this marriage and a spouse cheating. When he starts talking about this bed, you've went up to this high place and you've made this bed, and it's the place where you go to worship your idols. You give them yourself up to them. You're fornicating with them. You're committing adultery. And it brings us back to that understanding of, is God jealous? Yeah. But he has a right to be jealous because these are his people. They belong to him. And they have turned away from him with their whole heart. And they're sinning and they're giving themselves away to these useless things. In 13 he says, "When you cry out, let your collection of idols deliver you." This thing that you've entrusted yourself to, where your heart is, let it deliver you. The wind will carry them all off. A breath will take them away. They're nothing. But he who takes refuge in me shall possess the land and shall inherit my holy mountain. He's still calling them back to return to him, to claim the promises that he has for them as a people and as a nation. And he says right in the very next verse, "Remove every obstruction from my people's way. Make the pathway clear. There's no hurdles to jump. Just run back to me." He ends up the chapter talking about peace, and he says he's declaring peace, peace to those who are far, those who are near. Whether, Pastor Mike talked about this last time, how God was bringing the non-Jewish people, the Gentiles, close into the covenant. He's declaring peace to all people. Come to me and you'll have peace. But the wicked are like the tossing sea. It can't be quiet, and its waters toss up mire and dirt. Wickedness brings chaos and destruction. Sin has consequences, and it throws up muck and mire. There is no peace in a life of sinfulness. God says, I want you to experience my peace and my security. Come back to me. You've been burning with lust for these other idols. You've given yourself away. I want to have mercy on you. all you're going to experience there is death and chaos and destruction. Absolutely true for us today. We're living in wickedness and we're seeking to satisfy our desires and have our will be done. We're going to be like that churning sea. It's going to be chaos. There's going to be consequences. It's going to be dirty, but we can run to the Lord and we can experience his peace today. And that's what he wants for us. He cleared the pathway. He made the way. Jesus is that way. Run to Christ and put your faith in him and let him give you that peace that goes beyond understanding, the peace we need for everyday life. God bless you guys. Thank you for taking time to listen to this. If God spoke something to you, leave us a message on Facebook. Let's minister to one another. Thank you so much for taking time